You learn how to make maps by doing them, by making them. And one of the processes it's painful is massaging the data, getting the data to be nice and easy and simple so that it can be plugged into the GIS with no issues. And then from there, we can let our cartographic desires go crazy. So what we have here is this big old data set in which we just want a certain amount of information. We just want people that are under the age of 44. Where are they in Indiana? So that's all we're doing here. And so we have all this excess data, and this happens all the time. You just get a big old data set dropped in your lap, and you're supposed to figure out what to do with it. Over here at the top, we've got the different columns. And so I said to go ahead and get rid of certain columns. We're only interested in A through X. So that means I'm going to get rid of all columns after X. So I'm going to go over here to X. Okay, that's the last column. So everything over, I'm going to highlight Y and go all the way over, making sure I stay at the top. And look all this data that we're getting rid of. Generalizations, this is including, cartographically on a map we make generalizations, but also when we're working with our data. We want a nice, simple data set. GISs, they do not like a lot of stuff. All right, so next up, we're supposed to get rid of all the percent columns. So what I can do is I can go ahead and highlight each of the percent columns. And so I've got E. I'm going to highlight it and then use the control button. It's the button on the bottom left of your keyboard. Go ahead and hold that control button down and I'm going to hit G, I, K, M, O, Q, and so on. Once I have them all highlighted, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to choose delete. And now we should see just what we want, our particular columns. So this is showing numbers. Now we got to get rid of some excess stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and just highlight this top one. I'm going to hit the delete button. And what we're going to do is then we're going to use this top column to create new header names. Things that are going to be a little bit simpler. Notice we have some dots, which are okay, but we prefer in the GIS to not have those. Symbols, dots, hyphens, not usually something the GIS like. And so we're going to create new names for each of these. And these are whatever you want to do. So you can just kind of use what we already see there. But right here, this is the one that needs to be county name. This is total population, so we can just say total. That's all we need. We don't need other stuff. Total. All right, for this first one, under 5, so let's do pop under 5. Next one, pop underscore 5 underscore 9. So we're keeping those spacings, so when we're looking at this, we can see then what we're looking at, and then I can just go ahead and continue this whole method. And this is all massaging the data, editing the data before we're even using it in a GIS. Okay, so now what we can do is start deleting rows, because GIS does not like all this excess stuff as far as headers. They just want one nice row for headers, and then it uses the data and we'll go from there. So I'm going to highlight rows 2 all the way to 9. Go ahead and get rid of those. I'm going to right click, delete. That should settle everything. I like to go ahead and bold this. This is just a preference, personal preference. This kind of distinguishes them a little bit better. So now we have our categories. So we have GeoID, GeoID2, the county name, total, all of that. So these are the unique identifiers that are going to help the GIS know, okay, we're talking about geography, we're talking about individual geography areas. These are, of course, counties, and then this is, of course, our data. So we take the spatial data plus the non-spatial data, and then we go. So now go ahead and do a file, save as, and all you have to do is add your last name to the end of the file, and then upload that for part 1. Now we're going to add the shape files and add that new data set to our particular map. What we're going to go ahead and do is go to View, Catalog Pane, go to the folders, and we're going to go to the folder wherever our shapefiles and our Indiana counties with your last name are stored. And so I'm going to right click and go to mine, do an add folder connection. And I'm going to go ahead and once I got that connection started, I'm going to then go to the triangle here and expand out. And I should now have my information. So it's got the previous one. That's the original. I want the one with the last name. So we're going to add the counties to the map by right-clicking, add to new, map. And then for the last name Excel file, go ahead and expand the triangle next to it so that we see these particular spreadsheets available. We're going to click on Dataset, right-click on it, Add to Current Map. And so now we have our things we want. And some things we don't want, let's go ahead and toggle off once again our topographic map and hillshade, because they don't really do anything for us except bog things down. All right, so we have our data set and our shapefile. So if you want, go ahead and we'll right click, take a look at the attribute table. So take a look at the attribute table for Indiana counties just to get the idea here. So we have the GeoID. That's a unique identifier we could use. We could also use the county name, that's what we're going to do. So essentially the county name, particular this attribute table, is what we're going to use to link to data sets. And so let's go ahead and look at that, look at the data set file. And so we've got county name. And so we've got something common that we can then join these two tables together based on having that unique thing that they both share in each of these rows, and that's the county name. Now we could also use the GeoID, but we're going to use in this case the county name. And so that's how we're going to join these particular tables. And so go ahead now, go to the Indiana counties, highlight it, right-click, Joins and Relates, Add Join. All right, the input table is Indiana counties. For the input join field, we are going to choose Name LSAD. And in the join table, we're going to choose the data set, leave that one as is, and then choose county name. Leave everything else as is, click on OK. And now we should see in this particular data set, if we go to the Indiana counties, let's go once again, go to the attribute table, we now should see at the end all of the data from our Excel spreadsheet. All of that stuff that we just nice and neatly massaged, cleaned up, and got it ready for this particular example here. And so what I want you to do is just essentially do a screen capture. And to do this, it really needs only one screenshot. So to do this, make sure the county name and you have some of this data is shown, and then I have the Indiana counties. So that's the shapefile. So I now know that you've joined these tables correctly. So just send me a screenshot that has the county name, some of this data, like you see here, and then the Indiana counties attribute table.